Okay, so straight up, The Matrix Reloaded isn't a great sequel, but it contains one of the greatest action sequences ever made. And that motorway chase doesn't just save the film, it exposes everything the rest of the movie gets wrong. Let me tell you why. For about 15 minutes, Reloaded has speed, weight, danger, clear objective, characters who actually get hurt. Every stunt creates another problem, and every problem pushes the scenes forward. It's so good, which creates a slightly awkward question. Why does this one sequence understand the Matrix better than almost anything around it? It's got more Neo, more Smith, more mythology, more slow motion, and way more talking. But it's definitely not a bigger or better story. The motorway chase doesn't feel like the highlight of The Matrix Reloaded. It feels like a better movie briefly smashing through the one we are forced to watch. So today I want to explain why this scene remains incredible and whether one amazing chase is enough to save the disappointing sequel built around it. This is The Matrix Reloaded from 2003. The first Matrix had one enormous advantage. Neo knew very little and he was vulnerable. Every answer changed the world. Every new ability felt earned. And the agents were terrifying because Neo struggled against them. By the end, he becomes the one. It's a brilliant ending. It's also a major problem for the sequel. How do you create tension around a hero who can stop bullets, defeat agents, and fly across the city whenever the plot needs him to be somewhere else? Reloaded never finds its answer. Neo is now basically Superman in sunglasses. He arrives, he wins, he flies away. Maybe it looks cool the first time, but cool isn't enough. It doesn't stand up. It doesn't stand up at all. The Agent Smith brawl makes this obvious. One Smith was frightening, 100 Smiths should be a nightmare. Instead it becomes poor CGI from a computer game. More Smiths arrive, Neo hits them with a pole. More Smiths arrive, Neo spins faster. More Smiths arrive, so on and so on. Then he remembers he can fly anyway and simply leaves. The scene gets larger without becoming more tense because we never really believe Neo is trapped. The sequel also takes us properly into Zion. This shouldn't matter. Spoiler, it doesn't. It's the last human city, the place Morpheus is trying to protect, the home of the people who escaped the Matrix and now face 250,000 machines drilling towards them. Scale is impressive, but the emotion is non-existent. Meet commanders, counselors, captains, families, very few people we actually care about losing. Here's a challenge, name just one. Thought so. Then comes the rave. I understand the intention. It's flesh against machinery, warmth against cold. Music, sweat, human connection is proof that Zion is alive. The problem is the scene goes on long enough to make you wonder whether the machines might actually have a point. I kind of wish they broke through. That's The Matrix Reloaded all over. There's often a strong idea buried underneath the scenes. Strip it back and it might be a whole lot better. The film simply doesn't know when it has made its point. Less is more. The French detour. Then we get to meet the Merovingian. Hard to say. On paper, he should be at least interesting. He's an ancient program hiding old code inside the Matrix. He understands previous versions of the system. He controls access to the keymaker and surrounds himself with henchmen who may be the origin of our ghosts and vampire stories. That is excellent material, in theory. The twins can pass through solid objects and repair themselves. They're instantly visual, dangerous, and strange. The Merovingian mostly talks. Lambert Wilson gives him presence, confidence, and enough expensive furniture to establish that he's important, but he never feels genuinely threatening or even interesting. He explains cause and effect, he insults everyone, he demonstrates that the code can influence physical sensations, then he gets betrayed and the plot just simply moves on. For one of the Matrix's great power brokers, he leaves little to no impact. And then Reloaded finally stops talking. The film hits the accelerator. The motorway sequence begins with one simple objective. Get the keymaker out, that's it. And because the goal is clear, the film can keep making the journey more difficult. A foot chase becomes a car chase. The twins move through vehicles like ghosts. Agents arrive, which means every ordinary driver can become a weapon. Morpheus fights inside a moving car, then on top of a lorry. Trinity gets the keymaker onto a motorbike and drives directly into oncoming traffic. The scene keeps changing shape, but it never loses us. That matters. Great action isn't just movement. It is information delivered at speed. We always know where everybody is. We know what they need. We know what will happen if they fail. And every escalation creates a new problem instead of simply adding more noise. The Agent Smith brawl grows by multiplication. The motorway chase grows by consequence. That's a massive difference. Morpheus is powerful, but he's still human. Trinity is exceptional, but she's exposed. The keymaker is essential and almost completely defenseless. Nobody controls the sequence for long. A car can become an enemy, a lorry can become a battlefield, a motorbike can become the only route through a wall of traffic. The danger just keeps moving. And because Neo is absent, the other characters have to solve their own problems. They cannot wait for Superman to drop out of the sky. The film finally has vulnerability again. That is what the first Matrix understood so well. The rules only matter if breaking them carries a cost. On the motorway, every decision has one. Multiple lanes, junctions, walls, an overpass strong enough to carry a lorry, completely controlled environment created just for this one sequence. Carry-On Moss trained to ride the Ducati and handles most of the dangerous work. You can feel that commitment. The camera can hold on a stunt because something physical is actually happening in front of it. The scene is heavily enhanced, of course, but the enhancement is built around real movement rather than replacing it. And more than 20 years later, that distinction is brutally clear. The digital fight versus the physical chase. The brawl was genuinely pioneering. The effects team developed new techniques to create digital versions of Neo and Smith. To move a virtual camera through action, no physical camera could capture it, obviously. That work mattered. It helped push digital filmmaking forward, but parts of the scene have aged really badly. The bodies lose weight, the faces become rubbery, Neo begins to look less like a person and more like a very expensive computer game character. It just doesn't work anymore. The motorway sequence made the opposite choice. It used digital effects to extend physical danger instead of replacing it. One scene tried to escape the limitations of real filmmaking, the other used those limitations to create tension. The practical scene clearly wins, comfortably. Another part for me that just doesn't work, Colonel Sanders explains the universe. Eventually Neo reaches the architect, or as he will always be known in my head as Colonel Sanders. Surrounded by TV screens. The idea inside this scene is one of the strongest in the whole trilogy. Neo is not the first one. He's the sixth. Zion is not a human rebellion. The machines fail to prevent. It's part of the system. The machines allow resistance to grow, contain it, destroy it, and then begin the cycle again. The resistance thought it had escaped control. It was simply another form of control. That's a brilliant sequel idea. It takes the victory of the original film and turns it on its head. Neo has awakened, but awakening doesn't mean he understands the system. Morpheus has faith, but faith doesn't mean the prophecy was written for his benefit. This should feel devastating. Instead, the architect delivers it like the world's longest terms and conditions update. He speaks in deliberately complicated language. Neo mostly stands there. The television screens provide the emotional reaction that the scene itself isn't creating at all. The idea becomes powerful once you unpack it. The scene has very little power while you're actually watching it. And it's not the audience's fault that they're not keeping up. It just doesn't work. It's the film failing to dramatize its most important revelation. The motorway gives us a simple objective and makes it increasingly difficult. The architect gives us a brilliant idea and makes it increasingly difficult to understand. Keanu Reeves gives Neo the right calmness, but the characters become more of a symbol than a person. Lawrence Fishburne still commands the screen because Morpheus believes every word he's saying. The missed opportunity is that the film spends more time proving him wrong than showing us what that doubt does to him. Carry-On Moss gives the film its most grounded performance. Trinity has confidence, physical presence, and a clear emotional stake. It's not a coincidence that she is central to the sequel, where the film feels most alive. Hugo Weaving is clearly enjoying Smith's evolution from agent to virus. He can turn one raised eyebrow into an entire population, but Smith proves the same point as everything else. One Smith was terrifying, 100 Smiths are content. Bigger again, not better. Reloaded was part of an ambitious multimedia experiment. The directors made both sequels alongside The Animatrix and shot substantial live action material for the video game Enter the Matrix. The game followed Niobe and Ghost through events happening alongside the movie. It wasn't simply merchandise, it was another piece of the story. That was, I guess, ahead of its time. It also left Reloaded feeling less like a complete movie and more like the middle section of a very expensive universe. An audience shouldn't need a PlayStation 2 game and an animated anthology to make the movie feel whole. The world expanded in every direction. The story didn't become deeper. The kick-ass moment is the final collision on the motorway. Morpheus has fought an agent on top of a moving lorry. The keymaker is completely exposed. Two lorries are heading directly at one another. They collide. The vehicles fold around the impact. Morpheus and the keymaker are thrown into the air, and Neo finally arrives. For once, his Superman entrance doesn't remove the tension, it releases it. The entire sequence has earned that rescue. That's the kick-ass moment. Why does this motorway chase understand the Matrix better than the rest of the sequel? Because it stops explaining the rules and starts using them. Clear objective, real danger, escalating consequences, characters we care about solving problems under pressure. The chase goes bigger, but every increase in scale produces way more tension. The rest of the film often mistakes more for better. Can one extraordinary sequence save The Matrix Reloaded? No. No, absolutely not. But it gives the movie a reason to be remembered. For 15 minutes, Reloaded becomes fast, physical, inventive, and really confident. The rest of the film never catches up. So let's wrap it up and let's give it a final verdict. It has its moments. One of those moments just happens to be one of the greatest motorway chases ever filmed. Now tell me this, if you remove the motorway chase, would you ever choose to watch The Matrix Reloaded again? If you like what you see, please follow for more. Until the next one, cheers.